If you run a business and you're managing your own social media, you already know the feeling. You sit down to write a post, you stare at the screen, and 20 minutes later, you've got a half finished draft that doesn't quite sound like you. So you either force it out and post something mediocre, or you close the tab and tell yourself you'll get to it tomorrow. This video is about what happens when you hand that problem to AI. We're going to watch an independent insurance agency take one topic idea and turn it into a full week of platform-ready social media posts. LinkedIn, Facebook, tips, captions, 5 pieces of content from a single prompt in under 3 minutes. Social media for a small business or independent agency isn't complicated in theory. Show up consistently, say something useful, build trust over time. That's the whole playbook. The problem is the execution. Coming up with a new topic every single week is its own mental tax. And once you have a topic, LinkedIn and Facebook aren't the same audience. They don't want the same length, the same tone, or the same angle. So you're not writing one post, you're writing 2, sometimes 3, and starting from scratch each time. For an insurance agent whose actual job is serving clients, that work gets bumped every time. Here's what most people underestimate about inconsistent posting. A potential client who's been referred to you or who found you through a search will almost always check your social profiles before they reach out. That's just how people work now. When they get there and your last post was 3 months ago, they don't assume you've been busy. They wonder if you're still active. They wonder if the referral is still relevant. That gap in your feed is doing quiet damage to your first impression. Consistency signals credibility, not perfection, consistency. Even a modest, steady presence beats sporadic bursts of content followed by silence. The agencies that win on social aren't necessarily the ones with the best writing, they're the ones who keep showing up. So, what does it actually take to maintain a consistent presence manually? Let's put a real number on it. Topic brainstorming, writing a LinkedIn post, adapting it for Facebook, editing, second guessing the tone. For 2 platforms done with any real care, you're looking at roughly 80 minutes a week, every week. That's not a one-time cost. That's 80 minutes you're pulling away from client work, from follow-ups, from business development, or from just getting home on time. And that 80 minutes assumes you've already know what to write about. When you don't, add another 20 minutes of staring at a blank page before any actual writing even starts. Social media writing is pattern work. You have a topic, you have an audience, and you have a platform with its own conventions. And you need output that fits all 3. That's not creative genius, that's style matching and variation at scale. And that's exactly what AI is built for. The same mechanics that power everything else we've covered in this series. Pattern completion, style matching, input-driven output applied directly here. One idea goes in, structured, platform-ready content comes out. The agency doesn't rewrite anything. AI handles the variation automatically. The workflow starts with what we're calling the content brief. 4 fields, that's the entire input. Topic, what do you want to talk about this week? Audience, who follows you and who you're trying to reach. Tone, how you want to sound, whether that's professional, approachable, educational, or some combination. And platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, or both. Fill in those 4 fields and the hard work is done before you even open an AI tool. The brief is the thinking. Everything that comes after is AI executing on it. Here's the full prompt that drives the output. This is the working version, not a concept, not a simplified example. This is what you would actually paste in. It tells AI what role it's playing. Social media writer for an independent insurance agency. It accepts the 4 brief inputs directly, and then it specifies exactly what to produce. A LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, a short LinkedIn tip, and 2 Facebook caption variations. 5 outputs from 1 prompt. The constraints at the bottom matter just as much as the information. No generic openers, no hashtags unless requested. Each post stands alone. Those three lines are what prevents the generic AI voice from creeping in. They're not optional. Here's the brief filled in with a real example. The topic is what renters insurance actually covers and what it doesn't. The audience is local renters and young professionals ages 22 to 35. The tone is approachable and educational, like a knowledgeable neighbor, not a salesperson. Platforms are LinkedIn and Facebook. 30 seconds of typing. That's the full input. Everything that comes out next, 5 posts, 2 platforms, multiple formats, comes from those 4 fields. Here's what AI produces for LinkedIn. The headline is specific, renter's insurance, what it covers, and the gap most people don't see coming. The opening line does real work. Most renters assume their landlord's policy protects their belongings. It doesn't. That's not a generic opener. That's a hook that speaks directly to the audience described in the brief. The post goes on to cover personal property, liability, and temporary housing coverage, the 3 things a standard renter's policy actually includes. It's structured, it's educational, and it sounds like it was written by someone who knows the subject, not by a form. That output took under 10 seconds. Look at the 2 excerpts side by side. The LinkedIn version leads with an insight. Most renters assume their landlord's policy protects their belongings. It doesn't. The Facebook version opens with a question. Do you know what your renter's insurance actually covers? Same fact, same topic, completely different entry point because the audience is different. LinkedIn readers expect depth and professional framing. Facebook readers respond to conversation and simplicity. AI recognized that distinction from the platform input in the brief and adapted accordingly, without being asked twice. That's the part that saves the time. Not just generating one post faster, but not having to rewrite it at all. And it keeps going. The same prompt that produced the LinkedIn and Facebook posts also generated a short LinkedIn tip and 2 Facebook caption variations. The tip: renter's insurance costs less than a streaming subscription, usually $15 to $20 a month, is the kind of specific, useful takeaway that performs well in a quick read format. The captions are short, direct, and written to pair with an image. 5 posts, 1 prompt, under 3 minutes from filling in the brief to having everything in front of you ready to review. Here's what that looks like mapped to an actual week. Monday is the LinkedIn post. Wednesday gets the Facebook post and one of the captions. Friday gets the LinkedIn tip and the section caption variation. 3 posting days, 5 pieces of content. 1 prompt on Monday morning sets up the entire week. Everything flagged for review before anything goes live. Nothing ships without a human looking at it first. That's the full workflow. Brief, prompt, output, review, post. The agency's involvement is the brief and the review. AI handles everything in between. Let's be direct about what AI handles here and what it doesn't. AI is doing the volume work, first drafts, platform adaptation, tone and length, consistent structure. That's where the time savings live. But the compliance review is still yours every time. Insurance is regulated, and anything that reads like specific advice needs a human check before it goes anywhere near a publish button. AI doesn't know your state's rules. It doesn't know your agency's specific positioning. It doesn't know what you've told a particular client. Personal voice, local context, anything involving real client situations, those stay with you. AI gets the draft to 80 or 90%. The final 10% is where your judgment matters, and that's exactly where it should be. There's one thing that kills this workflow before it starts, and it's worth addressing directly. A vague prompt produces generic content. Not bad content, technically, but the kind of content that reads like it came from a machine. In today's world, protecting your home has never been more important. That's what vague input returns. Deletable, embarrassing. The brief solves this. When you specify the audience, the tone, the platform, and the topic with enough detail, AI has something real to pattern match against. That's what produces the specific audience-aware opener you saw on the LinkedIn slide. The brief isn't overhead. It's the difference between content you're proud of and content you don't post. One more piece of the workflow that's worth showing because it solves the problem that comes before everything else. If you don't know what to write about, the brief doesn't help. So before you ever fill in the brief, run a topic bank prompt once a quarter. Ask AI to generate 12 social media topic ideas for your agency. Educational, not promotional, specific enough to write a full post about each one. What comes back is a list like what's shown here. What actually happens when you file a claim, the coverage gap most renters don't know about, whether a home policy covers a home office, what umbrella insurance actually is in plain English. 12 topics generated in under a minute. That's your content calendar for the next 3 months. You pull one topic per week, drop it into the brief, run the prompt, and you're done. The numbers here are straightforward. 80 minutes per week manually, 12 minutes per week with this workflow. That gap, 68 minutes, compounds every single week. Over a year, that's more than 55 hours returned. Not from a complex system, not from a tool that requires onboarding or a subscription to team to manage. From one prompt and a 4-field brief. The before isn't just slower, it's inconsistent. Topics feel recycled. The writing energy that should go towards clients goes towards posts instead. The after is consistent posting, topics generated on demand, and energy that stays where it belongs. This workflow genuinely handles more than it might seem. 1 or 2 people posting across 2 platforms producing content weekly. This prompt covers it cleanly. Where it starts to strain is coordination. Multiple team members, multiple office locations, campaign content that needs to stay aligned across channels. That's where a more structured system makes sense. Not a more complex prompt, a system. That's not a limitation of the workflow. That's just the natural boundary between what a prompt handles and what a process handles. Most independent agencies and small teams won't hit that ceiling for a while. Being honest about what this workflow doesn't do is part of using it well. AI writes the caption. It doesn't shoot the photo or design the image. If your post needs original visuals, that's still on you or a designer. Compliance sign off is still your responsibility every time. No exceptions, no workarounds. Real time context is something AI doesn't have. If there's a hailstorm in your area this week and you want to post something relevant, AI doesn't know what happened. You do. And genuine relationship building, responding to comments, showing up as a real person in conversations. That's not something any prompt replaces. AI handles the writing, the rest still needs a human. Here's the full picture. 80 minutes per week becomes 12, 5 posts from 1 prompt, LinkedIn, Facebook, tips, captions, 55 hours returned per year from 1 workflow change. The process is fill in the brief, paste the prompt, review the output, post on schedule. That's it. Every step after the brief is AI doing the work. Every step before publishing is you making sure it sounds right and clears compliance. The writing was never the valuable part of what an insurance agent does. Your expertise is. This workflow keeps the time spent on writing proportional to what it's actually worth and puts the rest back where it belongs. This is part of our Making AI Work series. Practical workflows that show what AI actually does to tasks that used to take much longer. If you found this useful, subscribe. We put out new workflows every week. If you need this at scale, multiple producers, multiple locations, content that needs to stay consistent across the team, let's talk about what a more structured system looks like for your organization. You can reach us at eauclaireai.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.